All right, we said
It was a great day.
Alive, eh?
it's good. It's good to train.
Mm-hmm.
It's good training.
YouTube. What's up, guys? We are back. PBJJF Podcast number 30th. We're here with Brent Walter. We are live. It's working. So we just started. We did a test here before, so we messed it up. But thank you guys for joining us today. We appreciate you guys are watching it. If you're watching live, make sure you comment. We can chat with you guys through the comments, and I think it would be a great podcast. You know, we're just we had a podcast before the podcast as well. We're talking here, hanging out. Great talk here with Brent, and so make sure you guys are if you're not competing at PBJJF yet, you're missing out, guys. Go to pbjjf.smoothcomp.com and check it out, the closest event to your area.
Can use the QR codes on the.
Yes, and you can use the QR code right here above your head, right up there. Whoop. Use the QR code, and it's going to send you to the website. Make sure you guys compete. So also, if you're competing at the event already, make sure you come to PBJJF Pan American Championship on June 24th, and this year PBJJF Worlds on October 21st. So we're bringing the Jiu Jitsu World to the East Coast, like we talk about it. All the world will come to the East Coast. Not the East will have to travel the world anymore. The world's come to the East Coast. And you guys are the big part of it. Big support of it. So, and if you want to buy also Brave products to support the channel, support Brave, you go to bravekimonos.com and use PBJJF as a discount code to receive 10% off. And man, thank you so much to come and at 9 p.m. On a Monday to talk to us, hang out.
I told JP, we crazy to invite somebody to come at 9 p.m. And these guys
You're crazy
to
accept.
Honored to be here, you know. I just really appreciate what you guys have been doing for the community, especially for smaller gyms in the area that may not have that platform yet. So thank you all.
Cool. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah. And thank for the support you're doing already. You know, since the beginning on the tournaments, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You come, you bring. Just saw highlights from
Thomas,
right? Nice highlight, like he's
Tomanagi.
whipping over the head. Yeah.
That's a specialty. I might have been hit with that a time or two in practice, but it's really good to just see your teammates go out and perform like they're capable of doing, right? Mm-hmm. Like we all have guys that we train with in the gym, and they're world beaters in the room, and then they just have to be able to turn that on when it comes competition time. I was really happy to see him have a good day that day competing. Yeah, it was a great
awesome.
And a lot of that was due to the environment. I think as we were talking beforehand, a lot of our students feel comfortable. It's a good environment. A lot that goes into the PBJJF tournaments, and we really appreciate what you've done for the students.
Thank you for the support, man. Always, you and your students, I see them, and like, and I want to give the spotlights for the ones that deserve it. They put a lot of hard work, and also we're gonna bring the athletes as well to talk in the podcast. Like the ones that are showing up more, the ones that are
the top rank.
The top ranking. Like that's the way we want to do it too.
Talk about that switch. What's your advice? That's right. Yeah. Advice for the students, for the guys who's going to compete or never did it or do it and don't feel comfortable,
right.
To click that change and try perform better on the competition.
I think everyone's a little different. However, we can all do a little bit better with the mental aspects of being present. I think a lot of times we can allow our thoughts before a competition or during a competition start to go to the what ifs. The future that you don't even know. I don't know what that dude's going to do until you're in that moment, and just being present to be able to feel and react and respond rather than react. For myself, I know I'm a little bit different than maybe somebody that needs to calm themselves down. I like to, get myself going and really have that cape on, when you go to compete, when you put the gi on. Whereas others, they may they may need to just have somebody to talk to because they don't want to think about jiu-jitsu in that moment. They want to just be
Relax,
right? What do you feel like for you?
Now, I like it hype up too a little bit, you know, but right away before, you know what I mean? Like 20 minutes before, 30 minutes before. I like to like have my day normal, boom, talk about other things, like, you know, warm up and really relax with my friends, do some like light rounds, you know, on the backyard or whatever, like palming in, but talking. All right, time to go, 20 minutes, time to go. I'm like to hype it up a little bit and fight, but really help me don't think about the result. I'm like, man, I want to go there and show my jiu-jitsu, you know. I'm happy to be here because I love jiu-jitsu. That's just another day about jiu-jitsu. Beat this guy or get beat is results about a lot of other things, you know what I mean? I care more now about my perform. If I will perform as well, not just now, a couple of years, and it's helped me a lot to perform better.
That's great to hear.
Yeah.
I know JP and I were talking about just enjoying the process. You know, you guys are enjoying the process of,
That's right.
you know, PBJJF. And I feel like I've tried to make that shift in my own head. And it's allowed me to take some pressure off myself. I've listened to a few of the podcasts that you guys had on, and one that kind of resonated was Rob Sullivan. He was talking about building a brand, right? And when early on, where we were coming from, my area is a very small area. So I felt like I had to build a resume of who I am and, you know, what are my accolades. And I think when you put all that pressure on yourself, that's when you start feeling that instead of just enjoying the process. You know, if I would have went to a school where there was a bunch of different pro fighters, I would have just been a face in the crowd and that pressure would have been off of me. However, that pressure also allowed me to kind of push myself. You know, I think
feel like you're taking the name of the
area.
area
right
on your shoulders.
Absolutely. Every time. And we kind of discussed this, that we're a small town gym in Western Maryland. So we're about 2 hours away and closer to, you know, Pittsburgh, right in the middle between Pittsburgh and here. And we've always felt the need to compete in the DMV area because that's the standard. It's really easy to set up in mountains and you know, you can tell your students whatever. You know, they have nothing to,
They're comfortable,
yeah. However, you know, to test yourself, that's where we want to be able to go to the bigger stages. A lot of our students competed at PANS the first time after COVID.
Nice.
And that was such a great experience.
And actually, Professor Vicente is here. He's Jorge, Roberto, Carter, Thomas. We'll talk about his highlights. These Cells Gaming. Many people here.
Appreciate all the support, guys.
Georgia. Let me see here. For some reason, he wasn't able to see it. Let me see here. Vicente said it. I got in here later. Actually, just started. So we're fine. We're good. We just started. And
I think he talked about the brackets too. That's nice.
I just look at the brackets and I hate all my opponents. That's the way
it works for him very well, no?
It looks like he does. Paco, that's awesome. Keep interacting, guys. I think that's the way also YouTube will push in the media, the content, and way to support the channel. And also, you're telling me a little bit about the transition, right? With moving to Vicente Junior team, you know, before you're training another team,
Right.
and how that changed your way of training and seeing jiu-jitsu and teaching jiu-jitsu. So how was that for you?
Really, we were kind of talking on, you know, just the traditional values. And one of the things that we really appreciate about Vicente is, as accomplished of a competitor he is, you know, he's really made us feel like family since day one. And he's always put forth the values of jiu-jitsu. You know, I know he just shared something with Master De La Riva, you know, talking about the rules of the tatami, you know, how to govern yourself. And once again, we were talking about, you know, once you see the way, you know, you see it broadly, right? Once you understand jiu-jitsu and the values that go behind that, you really start applying it in other areas of your life. And I feel like with Vicente, he just walks the walk. You know, I'm going to talk him up. he's obviously my instructor. However, I'll never forget in 2020, seeing that man who's won PANs several times go through a very adverse life experience, a loss, come out and show up, not for himself, because I don't think it meant a lot as much to him as it meant showing up for his students, and I think that once again, that's one of those values is regardless of what you have going up, you have to show up. You show up for other people, you show up for your students, show up, and in that process, you'll show up for yourself because you won't betray your values, your traditions.
That's important. I feel that too. It's beyond us, right? Like
Right.
when we're like we're leading a team, leading a mission, and I think that's exactly what I think you're talking about. How he was able to lead by the way he does things.
Right.
You don't have to say much, right? Just
Yeah.
follow me. I'm going that way.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing. And I think that's very important.
Leading
And,
by the example.
and you told me as well, like we're chatting a little before. You also work as a
Mental health
mental
therapist.
health
Yeah,
therapist,
counselor.
right? How is that? Because it's a different world too, right? We're talking like the different life experience, right? To go through this process and help people.
Right. So I graduated from Frostburg State University, shout out FSU alum, with my master's in psychology, clinical counseling. I work for the Maryland Department of Juvenile Services as a mental health therapist. Majority of the youth I work with come from disadvantaged situations. They're between the ages of 14 and 18. We have some 19-year-olds as well. And I work with a lot of young men that have been led astray. They've been through a lot of adverse situations in life, and they're very resilient. They just haven't understood how to take that resiliency and channel it into something positive. You and I were talking about mentors, and I really think, Jiu Jitsu allows us to have a platform to be mentors. A black belt's a mentor. However, not every mentor leads you down the right path, right? We can sometimes seek mentors that, have nefarious motivations, negative motivations. Mm-hmm. And I feel like as young men, we have a lot of emotion. We don't know what to do with it. So we direct it. And jiu-jitsu really allows us to channel that. Martial arts allows us to channel that into a much more positive sense. Because a lot of the young men that I work with, they're really going through pain. We don't discuss pain and sadness as men a lot. However, because it's manifested as anger, it's manifested as physical violence, because that's what empowers us so we can avoid those negative feelings, right? And I think a lot of young men, that's where, we draw in young men through mixed martial arts and jiu-jitsu with the physical aspects, it's fighting, but we just use that as the vehicle to kind of really deliver the moral lessons, the teachings that happen off the mat space or through the processes we were talking about. And, without a doubt, a lot of my young men, they're some of the most resilient individuals, I've ever met. They've been through things that I can't imagine going through, and to still have optimism. A lot of people go through some adversity and, my girlfriend left me, my tire's flat, I have bills, first world problems.
Done
Right,
quick.
right. That's nothing to compare to some of the problems these youth face. And I'm very honored, just as I'm honored to step on and teach jiu-jitsu, I'm very honored as a counselor to sit in front of a lot of young men and have them tell me their story. That means they feel comfortable enough to be vulnerable, because that's really, as men, we don't like to be vulnerable.
That's true.
Everybody wants the cape. Everybody wants to be, the toughest in the room or the baddest in the room. But I think it takes a lot of confidence to be vulnerable. Jiu-jitsu teaches that, because you're vulnerable every time you roll, every time you compete, because someone's going to lose. It's tough to deal with those emotions.
It's true.
Yeah,
That's
and
a beautiful work you do.
It
man.
is.
Congrats.
It is. We're
Thank
talking
you.
about
And
it.
like you use like the jiu-jitsu a lot on your work too. No,
Yeah.
that's crazy. That's
What,
cool.
how do you how do you use jiu-jitsu to help you to help those
Other people. Those youth.
youth in this program? Like, do you use jiu-jitsu at all? Like,
Unfortunately, I can't. there's certain limitations to what I can do within that job because I work for the state government. So there's obviously certain things that are approved that I can use. I'm trained in more of what's called cognitive behavioral therapy. Cognitive behavioral therapy at its basis is our thoughts lead to our emotions, which lead to our behaviors. And I think it's very useful in competition as well, because you think as a competitor, my thoughts of myself as a competitor is going to lead to my emotions as a competitor, which will lead to my performance. And a lot of young men, when they go through trauma, experiencing loss due to gun violence or maybe a traumatic experience, car wrecks, we create stories in our mind that we tell ourselves of these, and they're not always accurate. We create little stories in our mind that they aren't real. They're not based in reality. They're based on our interpretation.
How we want to,
right?
see it.
And so much of my job is, one, creating safety so they can feel vulnerable to speak about those issues, and then helping them to build optimism about the future. Because a lot of trauma impacts the body to where you never really feel safe about the future. There's always, things that trigger those habits that we talked about, those behaviors that don't serve you, and we use the trauma word way too much. It's kind of a buzzword. But we can look at our own lives. There's certain things people say to us that may trigger an emotional response.
Yeah.
We call it our ego, but it's a response based on our past previous experiences. And if it served you in the past, if I got angry every time a student questioned me and no students ever questioned me again, I'm going to do that every time as an instructor, right? And you won't know why until you ask yourself, why am I angry when a student asks me a question I don't know, right?
That's true.
You might relate from your past.
Right, right. Or something.
Or even if as a kid you're talking
Yeah.
about, right? Like sometimes you have experiences as a kid that we still reflecting to our life now.
Yeah.
But like you probably no, you don't use like the jiu-jitsu physical
No.
with the guys, but definitely for you respond and help
Right.
on how your history, how your life behind that in a match probably can help you a lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We discuss it because they see my ears and they ask me what's wrong, and then they'll be like, "What's up with your ears?" And I'm like, "I'm just ugly." I'm just ugly, and I'll play it off because it's not about me. I don't. But it does help because once a lot of the youth will know me and they'll be like, "Oh, he does MMA," or some of the kids will be familiar with cauliflower. And they're like, "You do MMA?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm used to. I'm washed up now." But it's definitely once again, we use that door of violence, right? Of physicality, of what we think it means to be a man, to really backdoor the more emotional stuff that we don't talk about in front of everybody. We don't really feel comfortable, but it's a way to kind of it's like a sugar pill. You put a little bit of mixed up medicine in with something sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like a lot of gangs, a lot of different organizations use, once again, violence and that physicality to do the same thing, but in a negative manner. So jiu-jitsu schools, without even knowing it, they create these safe havens for a lot of young men to go in and find their path. My path wasn't jiu-jitsu when I was that age. It was football, the physicality of just American football and being able to, go out there and take your emotions out. And to this day, if it wasn't for football, I don't know where I would be as a youth.
Sports so important,
Yeah,
right, for the
important.
youth. And nowadays we don't see I don't feel, at least I feel that there's not many people in sports. At least I was looking some numbers in Brazil. Like kids are not playing sport as much as anymore. Like from
that,
the
though?
age of
Yeah.
7 to 9. Like there's like a big gap for kids playing sports. It's like
Same in America.
crazy.
I really feel like we've lived now where we want to be comfortable, right? So sports are uncomfortable when
I get a student, little girl, 7 years old now, and she lost one game, and like she get mad, sit down. I'm like, hey, why you don't? Let's try again. Blah blah blah. It's in a game, and she's like, no, I don't like to play where I'm not good.
Yeah.
I'm like, I respond to her like, yeah, okay, we go try one more. Let's try one more because life is hard. You gotta fight you on the things you don't like too. Blah blah blah. She give it a try. should live mad the gym this day, but that's making me think. I'm like, man, all the kids like on that way now, man.
Yeah.
They don't want to do it because he not good. If he lost one time or twice, they just change.
Right.
They change the game. That's the life.
I see that.
He plays something. He lost. I don't want to play this anymore. Change, get another game.
Right.
I lost. Change, but without like go
Right.
through. Back in the day, I just have one game. If I'm not good on this one, I should
play it.
I should play this one game.
Same thing with music, right?
Yeah.
You listen to a song, you only have that CD. Nowadays we can.
Over and over.
I want to hear
I
this.
don't like
hear
this.
Right.
YouTube, Instagram, like all the.
Yeah.
And do you feel like you probably have a better answer for this? Because I see that sometimes the kids don't want to try because they feel afraid of being bears,
Yes.
of not knowing something and not being
Yes.
good at something. Do you see that happen? How do you see that? You have way more experience through like being a therapist. Like
You're
what-
absolutely right, though. We all have, a frustration tolerance. How long can we tolerate doing frustrating things? Jiu-jitsu is frustrating. You see grown adults, come back in the room,
even us now,
Yeah.
we're still frustrating.
Yeah.
Like
And I think a big thing is to be able to tolerate that as you get older. And it's really with a parent, because kids are going to want to quit things. That's the natural human instinct, is to do the thing that's comfortable, right? That's why we have progress. That's why we have chairs and we're not all just standing. But however, I think for young kids, it's important to not have a parent that says, we can't make long-term decisions on short-term, emotions. And I really like that, because you can't. If a child is having a rough day, like, hey, it's okay to have a rough day. But you don't get to make a decision today that impacts your tomorrow. Because we all have been there where we could have made a decision in the moment that impacted our future. And for young kids, a lot of times they derail themselves because they're so afraid to fail. I feel like we can create a culture where you're like, oh, well, Jimmy, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. No, fail, do it, fail, fall. Like if a kid falls around me, I laugh. Good job, get up. Don't, because now you create that anxiety.
they're about to cry, and then you tell them, "Oh, let's go."
And they forgot.
Okay.
Right.
And if you give them that
Yeah,
negative
feedbacks.
Oh, are you okay? I was like, I feel that daily. They falls like sometimes I'm scared. Like, go, sit down.
You let me see your bike.
Let me see. High five. Go.
They're like, cry. You're so strong. Don't cry. You're
tough.
strong.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I do this
man.
every day.
Nothing's tougher than seeing young children cry in jiu-jitsu. And it's inevitable. You're going to have it. And I think it's important, though. It's important to fail. It's important to be okay with failure. We were talking earlier about vulnerability. That's really what it comes down to, is some children feel like they can't fail. Maybe they put a lot of pressure on themselves. Maybe they're achievers in other areas, and this is new, not understanding it. We have adults like that. You can have adults that are, high achievers, entrepreneurs. They have bioengineering backgrounds, and guess what? Now they have to learn something new and be a beginner again.
Yeah.
It's hard.
But I think like I at least feel being a master something give you the opportunity to understand the process. When you start something new, you're gonna be bad at it. You might need a mentor to help you to go through the process, and you're gonna have to work hard and be consistent, and will take a long time to master another thing. I really feel that. I think if you master anything in your life, it's easier for you to master something else, because you know the process to become good at something.
Sometimes you need to break your ego too.
You
It's
break
hard.
it. No, it does.
You need to break your ego
but-
day by day. Like
It's like
that's
it's
hard.
like
I'm good already on this. Why I'm
Yeah.
getting done? I mean,
but it's like let's think about like PBJJF. Hey, we do jiu-jitsu all like that's what we do. We do jiu-jitsu for us.
Yeah.
Now I have to open jiu-jitsu schools. Now I have to be entrepreneurs and be successful with our schools.
Right.
Now we gotta do PBJJF, and we gotta do something else. And that's how I feel. A lot of my students, like they're masters in their life, in their abilities, and now they take they change now. Hey, I'm open minded to learn. How can you help me? What should I go this way? I trust you as a mentor. Tell me the direction. We want the best. I feel at least I want the best for my students. I want to guide them through the best path possible.
And the efficient,
most efficient.
That's why I think it's important to seek mentors. It's important to seek individuals that have skin in the game. They've done it. They've been there because they know the answers to the problems. Why am I going to sit here and try to figure all this out when you've already figured it out? You've already experienced these problems. And I tell our youth that all the time in our class, because that's what we do as young children. We question our parents because we don't believe what they said. And then years ago, what do we do?
They're right.
They're right. And it's, I always use this little story. I tell kids, if you went and played a video game that your friend played, and you can't get past this level and your friend has, and they give you oh, you got to do this, up, down, left, right, would you not go do that? Right. But your parents are doing the same thing, but you don't take it because it's coming from your parents. So that's an important part of jiu-jitsu is the tribe aspect. There's a really good book, Tribe by Sebastian Junger. Highly recommend it because it discusses how community is what really heals a lot of the issues that we have. And in America, we don't have the community that a lot of other cultures have. And we don't have a lot of reverence for our ancestors or the elders of our community. And I think that's what leads to a lot of young people making these mistakes over and over again because they lack the mentors. They lack the individuals that are able to sit there and give them those different perspectives before they act. And that's hard, but jiu-jitsu creates that for people that lack that. If you don't have a family, you come to jiu-jitsu and now you have that tribe.
You build a community. Yeah.
Right. You build the community.
Supportive community. Mm-hmm. I feel like all the schools, all the professors, all the people we visit, is very supportive of their people.
We're here for jiu-jitsu most of the time.
I think that's a great thing.
Once a while it's different, but most of the community is here for one thing, jiu-jitsu, spar jiu-jitsu. That's.
And we were discussing, that canvas effect. Benjamin Franklin called it the canvas effect, where you essentially give everybody the opportunity to make something their own, right? And you push them forward. Maybe it's a student that you have that is really good at leg locks, and you just, all right, go ahead, do that. And now they're going to be able to help other people. Mm-hmm. And the whole time, now a rising tide lifts all boats, And you don't need your name. They said Benjamin Franklin would put in all these different anonymous writings, and put them out in newspapers because it's not about your name at the end of the day. It's about what that student was able to accomplish or what that apprentice was able to accomplish. Our name of Roma Academy in Frostburg, we're really based on a influential figure during the Meiji period in Japan. So Sakamoto Roma, he was a samurai that existed during the Meiji period. That's when they started outlawing samurai, right? And going to much more of a Western style. Think The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise. Remember that movie? Mm-hmm. And one of the things that he has a quote, and it's in our academy: anything is achievable as long as you do 90% of the work, pass on the other 10, but give all the credit to them. And I really think that's something we try to embody, is a lot of the aspects of the values that Roma actually had as a samurai and as a person. Another big thing for him was he always wanted to embrace tradition while also welcoming innovation and change. Because you got to think Japan was so insular at that time. They didn't change. They were feudal little clans fighting, and now Western influence is coming in. But how do we deal with all this? And we were talking about
how can we learn from that,
right? But still hold our
the
tradition. And I think that's what we find in jiu-jitsu. We were talking about, I'm really thankful that we have a gym that we bow on the mat. We have our lineage above the mat space, because it's important to understand that, we sit on the shoulders of giants, and the path that we are on, others have been on for years and years ago. And yet we're still inviting that innovation that comes with a sport like jiu-jitsu. Like, you can't just ignore leg locks. You just can't ignore the wrestling game. You just can't ignore all these changes that are occurring. However, you have to be able to hold on to your traditions. Like you said, if you don't know your past, how you know where you're going.
But on the same time, keep mind open to get these new
learn.
things, you know, to learn.
And I think like
to don't live in the past.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And
Keep
I-
the traditional, but mind open.
Yes.
And I going back to back to innovation and being open minded. The closest we have from seeing that change is from Hall's Grace. You know, Hall's Grace was the best
Yeah.
ever. For what I know, right? People tell he was the best at the time. Like, he would make Hickson feel like a white belt. That's what people
That's what they say.
say.
Right?
You know, unfortunately, he passed when he was 32 or 33. Yeah, and like, he had that mentality, right? Cool. What can you do boxing? What can you teach me here to make me better? Hey, you do sambo, like, what can you teach me? And he was the one, like, implementing new things, figuring things out to make his jiu-jitsu better, you know. And I think that was a big influence for the next generation coming after him. Even Hickson, you know, like, he was just adapting his style for different fights, different different martial arts, because he ended up competing in different martial arts too and doing very well.
How MMA get created, you know.
MMA, yeah, that's right.
Back in the day, it's like martial arts versus
Yeah, vale tudo.
kind of
remember?
like
Just know the
jiu-jitsu
word.
versus karate, karate versus box, or whatever. It's like arts versus arts. Now it's mixed.
It's a
You
mix,
should
yeah.
be really mind open to learn everything.
Yeah.
If you go there only with one thing, man,
That's right.
unfortunately we see Chrome lost last
Yeah.
I didn't
fight.
watch it. Did you guys watch it?
Yeah, I was going to ask your opinion about that because that hurts. I'm a big Crone fan. I love, like, he's just his own character. You know, he really is kind of put himself away from a lot of the spotlight. You know, he's like the son of Michael Jordan of jiu-jitsu, you know, and he just doesn't want any of that. He just wants to do triathlons and live his life. And I respect
Like all
that.
natural, a lot of
Natural,
I like it a lot, and I really like his jiu-jitsu, man. It's like a lot of submissions, but I don't know. I think that thing need to open the mind to learning, like more wrestlings, more box. You know, get the hands good. Cause the level there is different. Now it's different than like on the 90s. You know,
100%.
on the 90s you can still have like be really good on jiu-jitsu, you know, and get it there, close the distance, take down, and beat everybody. Now you need to know more.
It's its own sport, and anybody that tells you different is, you know, I think that's the big thing that we've tried to embody at Roma, is that we understand that for the longest time we were the only Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and mixed martial arts academy, right? So that means we're going to have students from all different backgrounds, all different goals, and really our goal was to try to figure out how do we you know, accomplish everyone's goals by having a curriculum that is going to be able to, you know, allow everybody with those different interests, the no-gi, the traditional, you know, gi, even to MMA. You know, my background is not in any specific striking martial art. I didn't have a taekwondo background. I didn't have a boxing background. I didn't have a, you know, a Muay Thai background. So I've always kind of been a jack of all trades, a hybrid style striker for MMA, because, you know, takedowns dictate, you know, your ability to strike. There's a lot of other things that impact your ability to strike that you want to do, you know, in a boxing ring or a Muay Thai fight.
Sometimes to apply your jiu-jitsu, you need to be able to cut the distance to get close, whatever, and that's just the strike gonna give it to you, you know. Thank you, Amanda. And it's hard, man. MMA is
I
another
was gonna
sport.
ask you, because I know that you're taking that journey. You're now. What is it like for you? You know, going from a high level and then also trying to, you know, implement your skill set into a new skill set at a high level.
Yeah, it's a hard transition. You know, it's not easy, but I like that challenge a lot. You know what I mean? And for me now, I try get really good on my hands so I can apply my jiu-jitsu better.
Yes.
Do you understand?
Yeah. Closing the distance.
Close the
behind
distance,
hands.
you know, and like, man, sometimes I can get there and shoot a double leg on you on the first minute. I need to like fight it, like found the distance, feel how or if I don't have anything in my hands, you know, it will be hard.
Yeah.
That's how I invest a lot of now on boxing, you know, Muay Thai to
That's
try
smart.
try getting better, you know, and can connect this
Yes.
with my takedowns and be able to apply my jiu-jitsu. But I get one knockout. I finish one fight with a knockout, but I still like to tap people.
Yes,
that's
yeah.
that's what I like to do, and I definitely believe it's a great game for jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
See Khabib, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, if you can put this grapple, take it out, boom, boom, get close, into to building a submission with a good strike, it will be like, you know what I mean? That's the way to go.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
believe.
Yeah. And I think just for everybody that's watching, guys, make sure you share this live. Make sure you subscribe first and share now. Like, it's a good amount of people, you know, like watching. Share with everybody.
I
So
see
we're
a
gonna
lot of
double. We're
and
gonna double.
leave the like.
Leave the
a lot of
like,
people
hit-
watching and don't leave the like.
Don't
Just hit
forget about it.
hit this button. This
Yeah.
button.
Everybody that's watching, just click the like button or send like anything emoji will help to YouTube to interact and engage and put our content there. So going back to how was your MMA journey? You know, like I think we met, or what 2016,
Yeah,
something like that. You know, remember I came to Ryoma to train. I don't know. Were you? Did we train there?
Yeah. So at
Cool.
the
Noah
time,
was there, right? And Leo we
Leo
came.
and Alex.
Alex,
Yeah,
that's
right.
right. I think I trained with everybody when I went there.
Yeah, so when I was a white belt,
2014, I think.
I think I would have been
15.
still a white belt around that time or a blue belt. And when you came back, I think Leo and them have already moved past, but they came back just for
Okay, yeah,
I think
yeah.
for your
For that
seminar.
part.
Yeah. So my background, you know, is a little non-traditional. I didn't grow up doing martial arts. Unfortunately, in our area, it's a very rural country area. We didn't have martial arts. I always wanted to do like karate or some type of martial art.
Nice
but
town, by the way. Nice town, like
Yes,
a
yeah,
beautiful,
beautiful. Very scenic.
mountains,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. If anybody ever wants to, you know, come up, we're having a seminar actually for Gabriel Sosa, May 27th. Yeah.
Hey,
So-
Gabriel Souza. We
We
want
want
you.
you.
Yeah. That kid is a kid. I saw him, man. I told him this. You should stop. And he's like, why? I'm like, you get there, you jump triangles, flying, whatever. That's making it hard to always fight in the same tournament you because you put the bar so high. Like, hey, you slow down a little bit.
Yeah, man. His jiu-jitsu is so exciting. So exciting to watch. But no, once again, man, we got a beautiful area and we just want people in the jiu-jitsu community to be able to come up, know that we're an area that you can visit and have a school to drop into. We've always been a very a transit gym in the sense that we're very close to Frostburg State University. Leo, Alex, myself, we were all graduates from Frostburg State University, and we have a relationship with the college students. You know, they either find their first gym with Ryoma and go on to do amazing things. From here, we have a student that started with us, ended up winning blue belt Pan Am and Nogi Pan Ams with Pedego submission fighting. Luke Rufo, he's a savage. Keon Lomax, he started with us, ended up going to ground control with Vince, winning an MMA title, winning multiple kickboxing titles. So once again, you know, we really want to be a gym that people passing through the area, either for, you know, school, for family, for vacation, because we're right by, you know, the lakes and the casino. Stop in. It's a really beautiful area.
Promote a little bit the seminar, man. Tell the date, the time.
So
price.
Gabriel Sosa, May 27th, 1 p.m., $50 for non-Vicente Junior affiliates, and all Vicente Junior affiliates, it's free. So really just trying to give a great opportunity to bring a world-class talent to a small-time gym. And that's really been our focus, is to set a standard, you know, regardless that we're 2 hours away. We want the same standard of students, you know, of jiu-jitsu that's here in the DMV, here in California, in Brazil. You know, we don't want to water down the sport.
Perfect. Yeah. Guys, feel free. A, no, May 27,
May
May
27.
27, 1 p.m. Going
Go
down
to
there.
Roma.
Go to Roma. Learn a little bit from you, bro.
Pressburg.
Yeah, Frostburg, Maryland.
Frostburg,
Just
Maryland.
DM us, message us. Just to register, we'll send you the PayPal, Venmo info. But I'm really looking forward to it. I'm excited. I like his passing style.
And we talk about seminars, right? Like, man, if you go to a seminar and you learn one detail, is what
One grip can change
that
everything.
can change your whole jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
Like, can click things that you would never think before. Like many of, I think all of the seminars I went, I learned something that because that person's working their whole life into this usually specific
Develop,
game.
yeah.
So they have so much knowledge that they just bring you the gold.
Right,
Like,
right.
hey, this gold.
They cut the
here.
fat off of
Take
it, right?
yeah.
Like there's no fat onto it. It's like
It's
this,
like, boom.
right?
Just take it.
And everyone has different seminar styles. You go to some seminars, they teach like 10 techniques, and you're like, can't remember any of it. But maybe that one is the one that you
Little
do,
detail.
Yeah.
right?
Or even a grip. Even one grip, sometimes the detail you need.
Yeah,
Like, it happens to me before. Like, man, this detail changed my.
yeah.
I actually taught a technique, crazy, it's X guard sweep,
Okay.
a back take that I learned with Lo in a seminar. Still, like, hey, man, I still remember
still
that technique,
remember that
and I
technique.
use that a lot.
Yep.
Crazy, right?
Yes, man.
So that's how I think like sticks with us. You
For
probably
me,
remember
it's the
something
same too. I go there with mind open to open everything, but most of the time, one thing I pick is change it.
Yeah.
Is the value. You know what I mean? One position or one grip or whatever, one detail. Because if you try get that too and try learn everything, sometimes it's hard.
Yeah. Yeah. It
I-
absolutely is.
I really like when the seminar guys, the person who's doing the seminar do like a sequence things.
Yes.
That I really like that because someone's cheating like, all right, we go one take down, one guard pass, one back take, whatever. It's nice too, but when they like, okay, we'll focus on my all right, foot sweep, whatever.
Yeah.
It's foot sweep. Man, he showed like so much information from that things. We definitely go pick something.
Right.
You know what I mean, for the same goals. Or maybe the way he breaking down make you real learning that move. You know what I mean?
I love seminars where you have that repetition, where it's like it chains, right? That way, even when you're focused on the end of the move, you're repeating the beginning of the move, all the other moves that you learned. That at least, and everybody learns jujitsu differently. That's another thing that I've kind of realized is how I receive information is always going to be different than someone else. We all learn differently, so why would jujitsu be any different?
True. Some people more vision, some people more doers.
Yeah.
And one tip I have for you guys that changed my way of seeing seminars and to stick with the technique. When I meet someone that I only see that person for one time, or I'm just have the opportunity to train or learn from them that time, I only drew for one side. Because I try to get really good at that side, and then I go back and I train. My good side will teach my bad side,
Yeah.
Because sometimes you try to do both and you don't get it.
That's
But
a
if you
good
really
knowledge.
try to get good at one side, you can go back and your good side will teach your bad side,
I like
even
that.
without that person.
Yeah.
this really kind of like helped me to
I like that.
to get the knowledge. Like
Yeah. Your body will know. Your body.
training we teach like, hey, learn both but your professor's daily there with you, right? Like train both sides. But seminars, I usually like to pick one side and do my good side and learn from there, and then my good side will teach my bad side.
Hey, you guys like this too? Some positions I do for my left, and some
Yep.
positions I do to my right.
Yep.
That's
Absolutely.
crazy.
Yep.
Like I go passing this slide, I'm way better for the right knee. My Toriano way better to the left. You know what I mean? That's like
And it's always good when you have that technique to the opposite side that people are just traditionally like defending, like everybody knee cuts to, with their right leg, so it's much easier if you
Yeah.
can start shooting back to the other side or, passing the opposite side. But
even
yeah.
like man, any Toriano, if you do a Toriano for the left side, people not useful defend that side really good than the other side.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And you adapt to jiu-jitsu, right? Maybe sometimes injuries, you have to adapt to one side to another side.
all my biggest like breakthroughs came from injuries. And I think that's a lesson that you learn if you're in the sport long enough, that you learn how to train around things. You can't, there's always a way to train. We were, I know we got a little derailed with the scenic Frostburg, Maryland, but we were talking about kind of my path into jiu-jitsu. And what really led me to Brazilian jiu-jitsu, I was playing college football at the time. I was a running back, and I tore my ACL.
What is running back?
Running back, so in American football, I'm essentially the guy they hand the ball off to, and I'm either getting tackled or I'm scoring a touchdown. There's no in between.
You're the sprinter?
Yeah. I catch the ball, I get the ball, or I catch the ball and go off, or I'm just going to run through your face, like that mentality. I'm gonna run through your face 3 times, and on the 4th time, you don't want any more.
And you pass.
Yeah, and then I go die. Right.
He's the guy who throw the ball on the ground and like, do the black flip,
I don't know any position. Like I'm really bad at that.
It's okay.
Football.
But long story short, that's how I kind of came into the sport, is because I tore my ACL. I was in college. I was hanging around, once again, like peers that didn't really have my best interest in mind. We talked about tribe and how important it is to have connection. And I think in college, we've built this fake facade of connection through substance. I want to go out, I want to drink, we're gonna get hammered, or we're gonna go out. And I remember, I was at a party one time. I was just sitting there like around a couple of what I thought were my friends, and I just sitting there, and sober thoughts, when you're not sober, you're sitting there going, if something happened to me, how many of you would text me tomorrow? And in that moment, I kind of looked around me. I said, I got to make some changes. Because really, I was playing college football, but I didn't realize it at the time. I was going through depression because I wasn't as good as I used to be. And I wasn't living up to my expectations of where I wanted to be in life. And so what I chose to do is I had a friend, actually, of Leo's. His name was Brian Hayes, and he knew of Roma Academy at the time. This was before I ever owned it. Kevin Wilson, who opened up Roma Academy as one of the first. Yeah, Kevin.
He had a mechanic shop too, right?
Yep. Yeah. He they had Roma, and I went to my first class as an MMA fighter, and I remember there was 2 students out there, and one of my good friends, Shane Snyder, he taught me my first MMA class. He's now another Vicente Junior black belt up in Oakland at Nomad Academy. Shout out to Oakland, shout out to Nomad.
Shout out.
Yeah. However, he taught me my first class, and really that was my first introduction into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and MMA, just because I wanted to do something where I didn't have to depend on a coach. I got so tired of sitting on a roster and waiting for somebody to tell me I'm ready when I felt ready. And I knew that if I went into MMA or jiu-jitsu, even if I got my ass whooped, that was me. I got to do that, and I made that decision. So I really wanted to just, take it's like somebody working for somebody else and wants to own their own business. I'm tired of listening to that. I want to do my thing, because I knew how hard I worked in the weight room. I knew how my work ethic, I knew what I was valued at. So I stopped. I went away from football, chose not to come back my senior year for college football, and I just put everything into MMA. And I trained for 6 months, had my first fight, won my first fight, won my second fight, won my third fight. Actually, Tucker Lutz, I think he was
on UFC, right?
Yeah. No. He was on my third fight. I fought the co-main event for Cagezilla. And he was the main event at the time. Nice. And that was my first major fight in the DMV. Other 2 were in Manassas when I Mix It Up Sports.
Stella too is a big one.
Yeah, that's in Delaware. Yeah,
Delaware. They do a lot of amateur too.
Yeah.
Now we started doing more pro shows. That's cool.
Yeah, but long story short, that's really what started me in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and MMA, is that I just felt like I was not living up to my potential in life, and I wanted to do something that.
Sorry, but how old you are on that time?
21. So I was young. I just knew that. I looked around at my peers, and a lot of people were drinking it on Wednesday, drinking on Thursday, drinking on Friday. I'm like, man, we haven't even did anything to celebrate to drink. What are we drinking for? You did nothing. You've done nothing all week. You're celebrating that you exist. Okay, cool, but you don't have to do it like that. Yeah. So I wanted to what I would do is when I stepped away from the football team, we used to have to lift at 6 a.m. What it was is I found myself during the football season waking up at 5 a.m. in the morning to go hit the heavy bag, to do a MMA workout. I would go to school. I would go to weight training for football, and I would go to practice. And I told myself, I said, hey, if you're waking up on your own accord, nobody was telling me to wake up at 5 a.m. just to do this, that because you're passionate about it. Why are you not following that? Why are you doing this, what you're holding on to? You're holding on to the old version of yourself, the person that wanted to be a football player, that wanted to live this life. And, we go through these phases in life where we hold on to our old past self because it's comfortable, or because like that's what we think we know. We do that with relationships. We hold on to relationships. We hold on to bad habits. And, in that moment, I was like, I want something different. So that's when I chose to, just jump into the jiu-jitsu scene. My first jiu-jitsu tournament, I will never forget it. I lost both matches. It was Copa Nova. I lost both matches by points. I was just a wrestler out there, like trying to figure it out. And my mother comes up to me and she goes, maybe jiu-jitsu is not for you. And I love my mom to death. She's the reason why, happy Mother's Day, by the way, to all the mothers.
Shout out for
Happy
all
late
moms.
Mother's Day.
Yeah.
We didn't have a podcast in the day.
But, I was glad she's always been honest with me. She's been the reason that I've persevered and really learned to push myself outside my comfort zone, very young at a young age. So in that moment, I knew what I wanted to do. So I kind of went all in. And that's when I went on, a little bit of an amateur streak. And then I had some success as an amateur. And then right before I was ready to turn pro, I tore my ACL again. 3 weeks out from the fight for.
So you had one before?
Yep, I had one before. And then I tore my ACL. I was 25.
The same knee.
Same knee. Yep. And I knew what it was going to be. It's a journey. It's an arduous journey for recovery. However, I had 3 weeks until the fight, so we just kept it healthy. I got in the water, did a lot of things to keep it explosive, and went into that fight. It was Strike Off down in Manassas. It was a pro promotion back in the day, and I ended up winning by a rear naked choke in the second round, sorry. But it taught me a lot. As an athlete, it taught me to rely on my tactics, my technique. Because I think when you're really athletic, you can get used to just being an athlete. Like, I know I'm more explosive. I know I'm faster. I can do all these things. But the more crafty veterans, the guys that have technique and tactics, they're going to be able to negate that because they've seen you. Mm-hmm. I've seen that athlete. They know that athlete. They know how to beat them.
They are athletes too.
Yeah.
Athletic too.
Exactly. And so for me, I really learned a lot because that's the one where I had to go in and be more patient. I had to be comfortable in the cage because sometimes in competition you get uncomfortable and you want to get in and out. You want to get in and out like an ocean, but you gotta get comfortable there. You gotta get comfortable underneath, swimming, in the waters. Like, oh, I'm good. I'm okay. I enjoy this. This is
One
nice.
thing if back on the time I was want to do, get more amateur fights. Get I jump straight on the pro.
Yeah.
It's different. Like I play around. Like my friend told me, like, Max, you got like only 3 MMA fights, like straight to pro, but that's going fast. Like 2-3 fights a year, and I'm like, whatever. I have like more than 1,000 jiu-jitsu fights, but it's fucking different.
Yeah.
But sorry, cut to go.
No, but you're absolutely right because even though I had the MMA experience when I went to Pans my first time, I'm in the same bracket as Tan and DeBrow and all these guys, and I'm like, do I belong here? Yeah. Like, am I I wasn't comfortable yet. I wasn't comfortable yet being out there, and I think that's important as a competitor is to be in the moment, be comfortable. My injuries really started to change that mentality for me because after that fight, I'd have a 2-year layoff. I had surgery on my left knee. It took me 2 years to get back into the cage. However, 6 months away from the recovery, I did a triathlon. So 6 months into the recovery, because I wanted that feeling of being uncomfortable. And if you've ever seen triathlons, when you start in the water and everybody's around you and you got to go and there's no turning back. Once you swim, you're going. I can't stop because somebody's going to swim over me and I'm going to drown. And I needed that because just like the cage or just like the ref, when the ref calls you out and you bow into the mat, you need that point of no return. We all need that because
you're on.
Right. If not, we sit there and we psych ourselves. I don't really know. I don't want to do it. It's scary. You got to just go. And that's what the triathlon did for me, is it helped me tap back into that. And
you get inspired by Chrome.
Yes, I did. Absolutely.
What is it triathlon? How long? How many miles of swimming?
They have
cycling?
different distances. This was just a small one they put on at the nearest lake. It was I want to say it was a quarter mile swim. It was a 10-mile bike ride, and then a 3K run. And once again, those are all things you're doing during your recovery process. I really try to attack my recovery this time for my knee like an MMA fighter. Like, all these different things are aspects of the training that I have to do, that way I can come back. So you know what? Just like MMA, you have your striking, your grappling, your jiu-jitsu, your wall work. With triathlons, you have your bike work, your swim work, you have your running. And each of those disciplines have their own different workouts. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why you see like Paul Felder and other athletes kind of get into that, because, I enjoy that for training. It breaks the novelty up. I'm not just doing the same thing every day, so I found triathlons to be helpful. That's for sure. It just something I want to do. Jiu-jitsu and triathlons, I would love to do until I'm 80, because I feel like you look around at triathletes and Ironmen, they're all like 40 plus.
That's right.
Like all the guys that are savages that are like
they
older.
Can keep going. Yeah.
Right. So,
I have a student who does.
Jiu-jitsu is longer too. You can do that into your 80s easy.
Yeah.
To try to keep it on a healthy style,
yes.
you can do.
You can keep doing it.
Yeah.
It's true. And I have a student. He just told me he does triathlons and marathon.
Marathon. I don't like running that much, but
It's like
I
41.
I can't.
How many miles
is a
marathon?
Oh,
I know it's 40 some Ks, right?
yeah.
40K, 41, something like that.
41, I think so.
41.
Yeah.
What is that miles? Do you know miles?
Yeah.
20 some,
math
right?
is
20
above
some
me.
miles. 20 some miles, right?
Yeah,
25,
it's
26.
up there. It's around 30. I
That's
think.
insane.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's a
I
lot.
can't even
But
imagine.
that's all this, right? A lot of
You
that
gotta
is
keep-
this.
Just to finish, you gotta be like,
And that's hard. How you start building up your training. All right, I don't run. I will start to run, and I want to be able to run a marathon one day.
Yep.
How we start? All right, I will run it 3Ks every day now.
Yep.
And then we go for 5, 10, 15,
Right.
20, into together in a marathon.
Yes.
That's a long turn, and patience is
Yeah.
important on that.
Patience.
Patience.
Right. That is swimming taught me that. I was not a natural swimmer by any means. I'm built like a T-Rex. I just sink and a little short goat arms, right? And I really like swimming. Swimming's the only thing that has ever compared to jiu-jitsu, because the harder you try at it and the more you muscle jiu-jitsu, the more tired you get. The more you muscle
and
water.
less fast. You
Yeah,
go,
right. You tire and you're not getting anywhere. That's the white belt, right? That's kind of spazzing out. Same thing in the water. You look at a guy like Michael Phelps. He's like, boom,
And he moving.
yeah. You get your average gym bro in a pool. He's went like 1 meter.
Drown.
And he's like that. Tired
And the
already.
thing that swimming does is it brings attention to your breath, right? In jiu-jitsu, that's the first thing. Your breath is your lifeline, right? If I'm not breathing on the mat, then how many of us have went into a competition and you're like, why are my arms pumped? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not breathing. I have my death grips, right? Like,
And not holding like
yeah. So, and to kind of cross over, I learned all about the breath before I ever got into therapy. But what I learned in therapy was that the breath was everything with healing, because the breath takes us from being in a fight and flight mode where we're go, 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 to relax, breathe, and it puts you in what's called a parasympathetic state. You have two modes: sympathetic, fight and flight, go mode, and parasympathetic, which is your rest and digest, your recovery. So athletes, after we recover, we do hard workouts, we want to shift our recovery to a parasympathetic state, where your body's resting, it's recovering, it's building new tissue, it's building new muscle. However, when we constantly stay stressed or overtrained, your body's releasing cortisol. Cortisol is our stress hormone, which has all these negative impacts on our body. And one of the best things that we can do as human beings is breathe. And we don't pay attention to it. We take it every day for granted until you start being,
You understand it,
right? And just being mindful of your breath. Because as competitors, you guys know, like if you're out on the mat and things aren't going, you reset,
Yeah.
break away.
And we're talking about a little bit earlier, right? Like we're talking about like how sometimes someone's having a panic attack or something like that. They're like any anxiety, right? Like hey, control, find a way of controlling.
We just talked about this today.
Earlier
Crazy.
today, right?
Yeah.
But like getting on a friend of yours, sometimes, especially like in a hard session, if somebody like pushing him on the mat, you know, like you're both rolling him outside, do this, let's go, coaching him. Like when they finish, crazy because they able to keep a breath when they roll, but after he like,
Right.
do you understand? I'm like, man, relax, calm down, pay attention to me, or breathe. You know,
breathe.
it's crazy.
Number one thing that you can tell a student, breathe.
No.
It's that simple. It'll make everything else better. You know, everything else will be, you know.
It controls your emotions, it controls everything, right?
Yes. Because it goes back to, you know, we were talking earlier, your thoughts lead to your emotions, lead to your behaviors. And so a lot of times, you know, we have to become mindful of our body's experience. You know, be mindful of when I feel tense, be mindful of when, you know, I recognize my breath changing, because that's my body telling me something. And then those signals I'm going to be able to better interpret in my brain. Like, why do I feel tense right now? Well, because maybe you're in somewhere new, you know?
Yeah.
You know, maybe,
You're comfortable.
Yeah. Maybe you're talking to, you know, some high level black belts and I'm a little nervous right now.
It's
You know?
well, it just happened to me today. My wife was driving. I was on the side, and this guy just like, wow, you know, signals like, let's move on. I don't need to like. My mind wants to me open the window and like,
Yes.
go at the guy. It's like, let's move on.
Count to 10.
Yeah. Because
10,
once again, that
9,
dude,
8. After that, you good.
yeah, that dude driving by you puts you and your loved one in danger. That's why we have road rage. That's why people get so upset, is because when we feel unsafe, our response is to protect ourselves. And we do that with, oh, what are you, idiot, da, 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 da. And a lot of times that takes emotional reaction, takes more energy out of you than just going,
move on. And maybe it will cost you more later. Like maybe like you know,
lawsuits.
yeah, maybe the guy's his. I always think about that. I would think of the worst scenario. Maybe this guy is rushing for his kid that is in the hospital.
Right.
I look about those things like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Into he's an idiot. So
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
Like, you know,
yeah.
Right.
What-
he can be an idiot too, but like,
Hey,
like
move on, man. Like,
move on.
but and people, you know, like I have those like I think it's like, all right, move on, let's go next, because like we tend to react, right? Like the first thing, like you want to open the window, curse at the guy, and like try to like you know, like and one thing I also try to learn is like sleep on.
Yes.
Think about it tomorrow. Sleep on tomorrow, because sometimes like I feel like, man, I think I was like, I gotta tell this, I gotta do this, like.
It's so
Sleep-
interesting,
sleep
right?
first,
We
tomorrow.
put sleep last though in our culture, because we constantly want to be going, improving, doing. And one of the things I had to realize is that all those times that I've been injured is because I've put my recovery on the back burner, because I've tried to do more. Sometimes less is more, you know? And sleep is one of the things research is showing us, is that, you know, sleep is where our body recovers from trauma. Sleep is where our body recovers and gains, you know, not only our muscles recover, but our brains form, you know, connections. And it's the one thing that we put on the back burner. Like, we don't pay attention to it. Like, if I learn a technique, you know, that night, or I could have the biggest breakthrough, but if I go home and I get trash sleep and then I go into the morning class, did I really take that, you know? Whereas, so it's a hard balance, especially if you want to be elite. You know, I've had my accolades, but by no means am I an elite competitor. I don't look at myself like that. I've had some success as a professional. I enjoy professional sports. You know, I love training. However, you know, at the high end, you know, there's such a fine line between pushing yourself past your limits and also pushing yourself, you know, too far.
True. And but I'll give you the credit. Like, you're building yourself up here. I remember watching competing. Everybody very excited to watching you, and I really admire your work. Like,
Thank you.
for sure. Like, I was remember seeing you all the time, all the events, competing in good shape, ready to go. You know, like
Yeah.
he's ready to go. You know, when
But that's important, man. Be wet,
yeah,
real
you're
wet.
always
you know
ready
what I
to
mean?
go and represent people with, you know, like 3 or 5.
But that's
you
great.
know?
Like you tell, like you feel that city, that
Yeah.
power on your
Yeah.
back. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
And what's great now is, we were talking about this, right? Is I really had to go through, you know, I was in my 20s when I started. Like, I was 22. I turned 22 in the emergency room after my first MMA win. I'm all excited. And, you know, 25, when I went pro, I set that as a goal for me. And really, I went pro a little too soon. I was 5-2. I'd won a Cagezilla belt. You know, I finally dropped down to a weight that I should be fighting at. I fought 170 for my first 3 fights. I'm a 155 or maybe a 145er at a elite level, right? And at that time, you know, I really felt like I had something to prove, because I was put in a position with my business partner, Robert Carter. He's my black belt instructor, black belt under Vicente, and co-business owner of Roma Academy. And he's the one that approached me to take over the academy with him. And I was a blue belt. I had no business owning a gym or doing it. But I took on the youth program, and I took on the responsibilities of the MMA program. And I felt a responsibility that I had to go do it. I had to go prove my worth in order to be able to lead others. And unfortunately, injuries derailed that. I only had 2 pro fights. I had my first one. I won rear naked choke. You know, 2 years later, I fought again against your student, Skylar, at Shogun.
Yeah, I remember.
And, you know, that's after we made the switch to Conquest. I was really
I think
appreciating
he
the work.
broke his
broke his foot,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was that fight, right?
Oh yeah, my leg definitely could tell. You know, it was
It
perfect.
was it was on the elbow and the knee. What
the
happened?
knee. I think he clipped
I
my knee.
remember,
Yeah.
man, they went at it. Really exciting fight. I think it was the fight. It should be the fight of the night, because they were going at it like back and forth.
That's like what way to guys fight?
It was at 150. So
150.
we met in the middle. I was a 155er. He was a 145er.
Nice.
I had a fight up in PA that dropped out, and it was about like a 4-week notice, 6 weeks notice. And my goal was always to fight for Shogun. You know, being up where we were at, you know, there wasn't a lot of venues, like a lot of pathways. And you know, that was really the standard in the DMV. All the big guys that I admired.
And Shogun put a nice show, man.
Oh, man.
It's a really
Shogun.
nice
Yeah.
show.
I
I'm
love-
like, I've never fought in an other event yet, but I've been in another event, a lot of events, you know, with students or friends or whatever. Shogun put a real nice show.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Nice.
I have one thing about Shogun. They should go back to Royal Farms.
I'm not gonna lie. That
Royal
is-
Farms,
yes,
different thing.
yes.
different thing.
The reason
Different.
being is, as a fighter, I would go there to watch the fights, and I would get so pumped up. The next day, I would go run. I would be so inspired, because the energy of that
The
arena.
energy.
It would all the
Shout out.
entrance.
Hey, Rallo, we want you here.
Yeah, Rahalo,
And, like,
John Rahalo.
Listen,
But I
go
like-
back to Royal Farms.
I was like, I'm gonna go to Shogun. First time, like, oh, whatever. I was like, I got it.
Yes. Yeah.
Big.
Hey,
That's
John
like-
Jones fought there. John Jones fought there. Javante
John
Davis
Jones
fought
did.
there. You know, all the who's who. You know, in that walkout, the Pride style walkout. You know that. You know, if you enjoyed watching Pride fights back in the day, the long, or even WWE where guys come down the ramp, you know, it was just a wonderful setup. And you know, shout out to John Rollo, because
He
you
did an
know
awesome job.
He made
Yeah.
he made the change of the MMA. The
yeah,
era,
100%,
right?
man.
Even on the East Coast, we can say East Coast, because
Yeah.
he's a
Pioneer,
pioneer.
man.
Yeah.
Yes, really pioneer.
Hey, let me tell some. My first fight, I don't see anything before I walking.
Wow.
Nothing. I don't come down. I don't see the cage. I don't want to see. You know, my first contact is the walking. When I walk, I'm like, the fuck? And like, and I'm stand up there in the cage when everybody bring a lot of students too now. Man, when they lock the cage, that's the crazy feel I have. I can hear it, they locking. Clack.
Yep.
I'm like, no, it's real, motherfucker.
I can't get out of
Like, I can't get out. If I jump in this cage, you look, you roast there, watch, I gotta beat this guy.
Right. But that's that feeling that I was talking about earlier where
It's on. You walk in,
Yeah,
it's
you
on.
gotta do.
you're done.
That's
It's
right.
like jumping out of a plane. You jumped.
You
Hey,
do it.
better
You
land
gotta do it.
correctly.
That's right.
But
Be prepared. Be prepared first.
that was an awesome fight. You know, when I fought Skylar, I was really getting a lot of work in with Conquest. Pat Rivera, you know, shout out to Pat.
Shout out Pat, my big
out,
friend.
you know, Big E from Conquest, Matt Skibicki. Those guys were really my training partners at the time, and you know, they helped me develop a lot of my striking because, as I said, you know, I came up through Master Mike Moses and the Evolve PDS system, great striking system, and then I just needed a little bit more for MMA, right? So when we got under Conquest, I was able to really, you know, expand on my striking, and I felt I had something to prove, you know. So we didn't do a lot of work. If I had to do anything differently, I'd probably grapple a little bit more. But you know, sometimes we go into fights with our ego, you know, like something to prove.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always felt like my striking is something, since I haven't had a formal long-term coach and mentor, you know, that's something I've always needed to prove on my own.
Why did you decide to be more striking?
Honestly, because I had knockout power. I have a few knockouts to my resume. I have more submissions than the knockouts, but I know I had knockout power. And sometimes, you know, you fall in love with that and you want to try to find it. And once again,
And you're going back and forth.
you're
You
going
gotta. You want. You gotta. I get
Hey,
you back.
JP gets some MMA fights too, man. Yeah.
and that's where the you know, you were talking about the fight of the night, but that's probably why, because that's what people want to see, right? They want to see,
People
but,
like.
Yeah.
but they don't realize that taking that damage is not good long term
It's
for your
not,
career.
It's not.
You know, you can't take that type of damage either to your brain or to your body and expect yourself to be
That's
there
true.
for a long time. And that's really why I chose to, like, once so right after I fought Skylar, I had tore my pec. I was in a dogfight position at an underhook whizzer, student whizzer down, and I tore my pec. And I asked myself, why did I tore my pec? Well, it's because I was overtrained. I did a triathlon that Sunday, trained Monday, trained Tuesday, took Wednesday off. Thursday I come in, you know, I'm like, oh, I feel good. I feel fine. I should probably take the day off because I feel kind of sore, and I didn't listen to my body, and it made me pay. And you know what, though? Every injury, though, came at a point in my life where I needed to be reflective. I feel like injuries are going to happen, and you have to look at them as ways to, like, find meaning. And that's anything in life. Like, bad things are always going to happen to us. Suffering, Viktor Frankl, if you ever get a chance to read Man's Search for Meaning, it's a book by a man who survived the Holocaust, and he had a lot of influential work on later psychology. And one of the things he said is, you know, man can make, you know, endure any suffering as soon as that suffering finds meaning. And I think injuries as an athlete, you have to find meaning to that. If not, you're just depressed because you're not doing what you love. And for me, it was like, hey, you've spent all this time on self. You focused on your brand as an athlete. You focused on yourself as a competitor, but you're ignoring what you have in front of you, and that's an academy. You've been given an opportunity that others that have way more accolades than you in this game have deserved way more as far as what they've put into the sport. But you have an opportunity to pass to others, and you're not seeing it because you're so worried about yourself.
And to be a pro, or to be a athletic, you should be a little
have to
bit
be.
selfish, you know.
Yeah.
It's hard when you. I have that
No,
feeling.
Yeah.
Because like I run the gym, teaching, and still try fighting on the high levels, and sometimes you need to share your timing with the students, and it's hard.
But even we were talking a little bit earlier about even relationship, right? If you have someone that you share your life with, they need to understand that that point of your life, you need to be selfish of maybe not going out, maybe not going to a party because you gotta wake up too early the next day to train. Like you need someone supportive that understand that process in your life, right? Like we're talking about this. How does it take for you?
Yeah, we were speaking earlier. We had Muhammad Ali. I'm sure you've had plenty.
We have bunch wars together.
Yeah. He was up at a seminar at Roma, and we went out for sushi afterwards. And he spoke candidly just about his own struggles having a relationship, being a high level athlete, and talking about you're a high level athlete 7 days a week, not just Monday through Friday. It's not like I go to work and then I'm done. So it's hard. And Vicente has talked about this, and it's made me feel a lot better as a person, because he's talked about you have to be selfish. And that's why I don't take fights anymore, because if I have a fight coming up, I'm not worried about my student getting good rounds and developing. I'm winning that round. I'm winning that round every time, because you're not getting that round because I need that round.
Mm-hmm. It becomes about you.
It becomes about me. And I think there's a give and take. I was very fortunate. Right now, I've really tried to shift, and my instructor, Bob Carter, and the others around me have really helped me change my perspective and really give back to our gym. And now I no longer feel that need to be the person representing Roma and putting that on my back, because our students do that. We have students that are representing Roma and Vicente Jr. at the PBJJF, at PANS. Yeah. We have a pro fighter who has represented us at Bellator. Cody Matthews, he's a household name in the DMV. He was a 135 and 125 pound fighter. He just recently is coming off a knockout win at Pittsburgh promotion, where he knocked out the hometown guy. Dude came from Nevada, had the whole crowd, and here we are. He comes in, homeless young man you can meet. He's been cross training at Bauerhouse, and he trains out of Roma Academy. And he's taken our MMA further than I ever could, and that to me just means the world, because my goal was to cut, take the machete and cut the path, and everybody else do it faster. And that to me is going to last longer than any accolade I have, because when I won my first pro fight, I stepped out of the cage and I wasn't happy. Like I felt that. I was like, what's next? Okay, I won. What's next?
What's next?
What's next? And great. Go ahead.
No. I think you're achieving the professors. I think goal, which is like making your students achieve more things than you did. Yeah. I think it's like
it's changed people's life with that too, man.
Like it's like, I think that's one thing. Like when you talk about he was able to go farther than because you're helping him to cut maybe the mountains, right? You don't need to go through the mountains. Just go straight here. The path is here.
Right.
But it's good you have all the experience to can
do it the right way.
Doing the right way. Yeah.
And that's where, now recently we have a lot of amateurs that are coming up, and Cody has been able to do the same thing. And I talked about this when we were building our team. I told Logan Dye, who was another one of our amateur fighters, and Cody at the time, because we had a 135 pounder, a 155 pounder, and a 205 pounder, and we all trained together. And I said, one day you're going to look around and you're going to see the next group of athletes that come up under you, and then you're going to see the next group that come up under them. And just recently we had a young man, Chase Thomas, from our area. We competed down in West Virginia at a promotion, and he won. He's 3-0, won himself a featherweight title in that promotion as an amateur. And Cody played a pivotal role in that, this youth's development. And, once again, not only just on the MMA side, but to see what our instructors have put into the Brazilian Jiu Jitsu side as well. We're competing at PANS regularly. We're competing at IBJJF regularly. And as a small-time Jiu Jitsu gym, we weren't doing that before. Vicente has really helped us take our game to the next level. Yeah. But not out of, you got to compete because, you got to represent me, but because he wants us to reach our goals. And he could care less. He told us, when I try to go over and apologize when I lost that PANS this year, I'm like, sorry, professor, I really wanted to. He's like, oh, what are you apologizing to me for? He's like, nobody cares. But that's that's right. Nobody cares but you. You care.
Man.
You know,
I
everybody.
tell this all the time to my students, man. Nobody care about you.
Yeah.
Like you win or lost. That's for you.
You're not gonna change.
Not change.
For
If you
people.
win, Monday will be here.
Yep.
People
If you
like you
lost,
the same
Monday will
way.
be here
Yep.
too. You know what I mean? Like doesn't matter that like nothing changed. My
Yes.
feeling.
Yep.
Your mom will still love you. Your wife will still love you if you win or
I
lost.
still like you,
I still
and
like it. You know what I mean? You just need to come back and
Yeah.
keep it going.
that's right.
And that's what goes back to that shift that we talked about earlier, right? As a competitor, like when you make that shift, it's free.
Yeah.
No, the pressure's on me now. I think that's what helped me win my first time as a pro fighter, is because I felt so free. Because I knew this was the last time I would feel this in a long time. Because I knew I had to have surgery on my knee. And I'm like, enjoy this.
Enjoy it.
Enjoy this, because that feeling that we get, that goosebump feeling when you get to compete, you know, we walk in the pans and the marquee is going around, or for you ADCC, you have the drums.
Crazy.
Yeah, you feel it right now,
Yeah.
that emotion, man, and that's not always going to be here.
Yeah.
That can leave tomorrow. You whether
Enjoy
it's
it.
injury, whether it's death, whatever it is, enjoy that present moment, because you've created that for yourself.
That's true.
You know, don't rob yourself of your joy.
Cody said, luck to have you have a lot of good coaches such as Brent. Yeah.
Cody matters.
Cody, we want to see at PBJJF pants. If you really want to hit the high level events, come to Pan American Championship, and that's the way to go. Want to see you there. Want to see your guys there.
Yeah, we have a handful sound up right now, and I know we're definitely trying to push more into the PBJJF. Like we were talking about earlier, I like what you guys do as far as getting competitors ready, you know, with a traditional rule set, and not just having, you know, one, running competitors into the ground because you want to make a extra dollar. Two, you know, making sure that, you know, we really understand the rule set. And I think that's important, because now you can compete, you know, all over.
Anywhere.
Well,
Yeah.
anywhere.
All over, yeah.
And you don't have to relearn stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The worst thing is that I'd rather have an athlete that knows nothing than an athlete that has learned something wrong.
Yeah.
'Cause
Bad habit.
Bad
That
habits,
happens.
right?
And
It's
one
hard
thing
to change the bad
about
habit.
the rules, we start filming already our course, you know, and we're gonna open that for everyone.
Awesome.
To like any belt too, because we feel it's important. The students know the rules, the coaches know the rules, and for sure the heifers, and definitely we're gonna build them better heifers too for like the future, more events, because now we get like a group, but we growing on events numbers. We need more heifers, and like when like
Qualified.
qualified
ref.
Yeah,
heifers, you know, like brown belts,
That's the biggest
black
thing.
belts, you know, we into two, like I feel like purple belts is too, we can get them like a
Like-
no, when he's on a training process, like
Yeah.
estagiário, como é que fala?
Trainee.
training. He like a trainee. Maybe he don't have for all day, but he have for 1 or 2 mats with like a headphone, like
Yeah.
something like with another black belt outside that then can guide him in the right direction to prepare him
And-
to the other.
And we want to build professionalism, right? We want
Right.
our athletes to have a professional environment and professional tournaments, so they can have that experience. You know,
Right.
even if they are amateurs. You know, like all of events are amateurs, but
Right.
we want the athletes to have the professional
Right.
experience.
We tell our amateurs, at least for MMA, is like, you should be thinking like a pro now.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you going to wait to have pro habits? Build
Now,
pro habits
yeah.
now. Because if not, if you don't know your nutrition, you don't know how to cut weight, if you don't know how to do all these things, and you're just out here treating it like an amateur, you're going to get shocked once you get to that level, because everybody knows those things.
That's
You know.
true.
And the
Yeah,
guys
that's
who,
the way.
The guys who cut the weight, you guys
Yeah.
killers.
I don't like cutting weight.
Me neither. I stopped like 5 years ago.
I
6
stopped a
years
little
ago.
while ago.
That's why I enjoy jujitsu. I don't have to cut weight. Middle weight is like right there where I can
You're
put my gi
fine.
on. I'm fine. No gi, it's 175. I'm fine.
That's right.
Just
You
like
know?
I feel, last time I cut weight, I fought on 185 for jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Like Grand Prix on Copa Pódio. I don't know. That's like really popular in Brazil. On that semi cards, I fought with Loa, Nicolas, Vitor Stima, man, a lot of good guys. Dylan Dennis, a lot of good guys on that card. And 185, man. I'm normal on that time. I fight on super heavy. I'm like running around like 235, maybe 240, you know.
Yeah.
They cut down to 185. And after this tournament, my coach told me like, you don't cut to weight anymore, okay? I get some good fights. I beat Vitor Stima, I beat Dylan Dennis, lost to Law, rip it, yeah. But like, and that's my first black belt tournament too. And after that, my coach like, you don't need to cut weight, man. Go fight on any weight you are, you fight. Okay, you should fight the heavy because man, I'm so mad I'm off. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, I hate my life. I hate jiu-jitsu.
If you hate it, why are you going to do it?
Yeah.
You know, if you don't enjoy it, you won't do it. You know, you won't do it properly. And I do think it's important to cut weight because it makes you thankful in a greater sense in life. I think that's why all religions have fasting. Because when you go without, you realize how much excess we actually have, like in life in general, anything. You know, when you start
Makes you appreciate.
Yes. Oh yeah, I was thankful for every almond I ate during weight cut week. I'm like, oh, this almond.
It tastes so good. Right?
I'm sitting there biting.
Tomato tastes so good.
Oh, it's so good. And then
Ladders, I love it.
we have a young fighter that had to cut weight, and I'm really proud of him because this camp, you know, the youth I was talking about, he really got his nutrition serious. Because I told him, I said, look, you're 173, you got to be 145. We got 5 weeks. If you don't get your shit together, you're going back to 155. He was like, I'm not going back to 155. So, you know, I'm really proud of him because he's an amateur, you know, 3 fights in. But if you're getting that down now, it's going to be second nature. You know, that's why, and regardless of who we fought for or where we go, one of the things that I've always wanted Rahma to do is represent it like a businessman. Because you're in business, you're always representing yourself.
Yeah.
You're always people you know, not that you got to worry about what people say, but you should approach it as a professional. Somebody should never look at you and be like, psh.
Yeah.
You know, but also don't take yourself too serious. Shouldn't be handing out like business cards and like being that guy, but
Be professional.
yeah,
Act
be professional.
professional.
Yes, yeah, you know, act professional and handle yourself accordingly. You know.
But I understand some people need to cut weight, especially in MMA now. It's different. It's hard you fight and a weight you run around. But like for me, it's
hard because you got to weigh in the same day. You got to
For
weigh in the
me,
same
yeah.
day. Yeah, and
like now I have a friend like I think you'll make it 205. I'm like fuck you. We don't say that again. Okay, we don't talk about this here. I'm like I'm gonna fight on like heavyweight forever. Don't say that.
that's Thomas. I know Thomas. If you're listening, buddy, we're going down to that 205 weight
Like,
class.
you gotta go.
We're making it, buddy. We have a lot of students that have been putting in a lot of good work off the mats, trying to really, even if they just compete recreationally, you know, really following in the footsteps of our instructors and making sure we set a good example. I think at the end of the day, like, I want to win. Always want to win when I step on the mat.
True.
As long as I represent Vicente, our academy, and our students, and you know, can help them feel inspired, you know, I'm happy. Because I think, you know, as a leader, you have to lead by example. You know, nothing like think about a kid growing up in a household where the parent doesn't follow the rules. How
can you do that?
are you gonna follow the rules? You're gonna disrespect it. Oh, you know, mom, dad, they don't care about the rules, so I'm not gonna care about the rules. So how can you tell another person to do something if you didn't do it? If you're not actively doing it or doing it consistently, you can't. That it goes back to, you know, owning your own stuff.
I feel the same way. I try to, because you see the students will know everything they're doing. You're walking away. Hey, you say that you shouldn't walk without shoes off the mat. Why?
Why you did it?
Why you say that and you don't do it? Because people are
kids are special. They
Kids
pay attention
don't-
every step we do.
Always.
they do.
Yeah, because they don't learn by listening. They learn by watching. They watch. That's
It
why.
conflicts.
Yeah.
Well, you're saying this, but you're not doing this.
Yep.
And I think it's like parenting, right? Because I was talking to one of my students, John Grossman, today. He's like asking some questions. He's saying exactly the same thing. Like, I have to say something and do that because my daughter will believe. I'm gonna teach her how I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
You know, like you get extra pressure to like
Yeah.
lead
Yes.
kids. You know,
Yeah.
like you have to. I see people join jiu-jitsu. Like, man, I don't know. Sometimes they wanted their kids to do it, but like, I'm gonna do it,
Yeah.
and they're gonna see it, and automatically it's
Right.
why my dad doing it and not doing it?
Right.
Why he can do it? Why can't I do it?
Right.
And they eventually.
Yep.
bring that
Absolutely.
along,
We one of the things that I love about our gym is we have so many parents that take the classes too. And my kind of like thing is like sometimes you'll get a parent in and they'll see their child struggle. And you can tell like a lot of times it'll be like a father, be like, he'll get frustrated, like, why is this kid stuck in side control? And what's beautiful is during our kids' classes, we have our adult fundamentals classes. So, you know, yeah, because it's perfect for them, you know. But you know what I always say? Hey, we have our adults classes. And the minute they go downstairs and they try to get out from a bottom side control position and they realize that struggle, they get it. And I think that's important because we have so many parents that have followed the path with their children. And I think that's important. Not so you could sit there, you could, you know, direct their lives, but so you have empathy to know what it feels like to lose, to have a hard day of training, to not want to go to training. You know, I have parents that are like, oh, little Jimmy had a, you know, he was having a tantrum, didn't want to come today. Guess what? There's adults that are having tantrums that don't want to go. And then they make themselves go. And what we feel better.
Yeah.
We feel
you
better,
feel better afterwards.
Always.
And like one thing that Max actually told me that his father used to tell him, and I told one of the parents one day, he's like, oh, I don't know, he's trained after this kid after training a couple weeks. I don't know. I was like, do you ever give medicine for a kid? Yeah. Medicine sometimes won't taste good, right?
Yeah.
But they have to take it.
Yes.
This is happening right now. It's medicine.
Right.
Doesn't feel good, but will help them later. You know, like he told me this story. I was like, man,
I use all the
sometimes
time
you
in
don't
school.
need it.
Yeah. You're right.
Sometimes, hey, medicine. Like I remember taking the like, I take this. Like, all right, then you get
Then you
better.
feel better.
Same
Right.
thing with jiu-jitsu. Hey, kids, do more. You need more.
Yes.
Keep coming.
Yeah.
Can't.
Always
should
with our
not.
parents, I let them, like, I'll have a youth that will want to be off the mat because, oh, my stomach aches. And, you know, sometimes maybe, but there's another reason. It's this. It's this that's you're there. And I always try to make the fine line is there's a difference between being uncomfortable, being hurt, and being injured. And I ask the children, I'm like, all right, which one are we? You know, if you're injured, that's a mechanical thing. You're not, that's like your tire's flat. You ain't moving.
Yeah.
You know, my arm's broken. If you're hurt, it's because something is bothering you that is painful, but the pain is bearable. If you're uncomfortable, you're emotionally, mentally suffering. You're here. You can overcome that. The uncomfortableness is fine. Hurt depends on how much you want it. If you're in the finals, your arm will be falling off. I don't care.
You'll go, yeah.
You'll go. But if you're in practice, maybe I don't. You know, so it's situational. Injury, same way. But the injury we have to pay attention to. That's your safety.
Yeah.
And for students, safety always should come first. You know, if they're an elite competitor,
It's different.
it's different. It's different. But majority of the students that we have aren't going to be elite ADCC competitors. They have day jobs. And I had to learn that. Because my expectations were, I wanted to be that. I wanted to have that mindset. However, I got to remember that the dude I'm rolling with has a day job tomorrow. He has to go to work. He's just come to jiu-jitsu to have friendship, connection, you know.
Community.
Yeah.
Learn
I told
self-defense.
JP when I get here in the USA, I should learn how to teach again.
Yeah.
Because in Brazil, I just teach like, I teach on two different ways. I have like some kids on the social project, and I mean they there sometimes only for the food. They don't
understood.
care, like whatever. I'll come here, get my food, train a little bit, and leave.
Yeah.
And I teach all night on a competition class.
Yes.
Then I'm here for like teenagers. It's just like all the time, like
Go.
when I get here in USA, it's like normal class, fundamentals, white belt. I'm like, what the fuck? I can't put these guys like on the same. It's
Right.
complete upside. I need to teach them walk sometimes on the mat. grab. You tell like, okay, right hand of the left shoulder, and you're like, and okay, here, put your hand here, and then I have to learn again.
Yeah.
But I think today I'm doing okay, better.
And we see, I think, and then we see the real purpose. It's like using jiu-jitsu as a way to change people's lives in a positive way. Like, I think that's later I understood that, and I was able to apply that, start applying that to my life, like all the things I do. It's like, man, I never thought that this is actually the big deal I'm doing. Like, everything I did for myself, whatever, right? But what we are doing now to people, to serve. Like, I get on the mat every day. It's like, I'm here to serve. I'm here to serve my students. I'm here to serve.
Right.
I'm here to help. How can I help? And then somehow more things start to happen positive in my life. Like
it's interesting when you just start focusing on giving back, you receive. And it's not, you don't give because you expect something in return. We do that so often in this society. Like, you see people giving to homeless and they're videotaping it, but do it help the person that you can't gain from by helping them. Like, it's easy to help the entrepreneur that has the connections. It's easy to help that person, but are you going to help the person that offers you nothing, that can offer me nothing in life? And it's difficult. We only have so much of ourselves to give as well. As instructors, we give a lot to our students, and we have to remember we have families. Mm-hmm. We have to remember we're a person as well. We have goals. It's okay to have goals. That's one of the balance that I've really had to work on. My instructor, Robert Carter, has really helped me to, at the age of 30, start to change my perspective, because he's the most selfless person. Bob, as we call it, Sensei Bob, but he's the most selfless person because he's not, a competitor in the sense of I want everybody to compete. He wants people to compete because they want to compete, because they feel good accomplishing their goals. And I didn't understand it because I was too young. I was just in that phase of life. And let's go, guys. Right, let's go. But those students aren't trained. You're not training those students. They're training with you. Mm-hmm. And there's a difference. Mm-hmm. Because when you're training with students, you're worried about yourself. When I'm rolling, I'm not worried about what he's doing. I'm not worried. But when you're training students, you're not rolling. You're watching.
You watch. Into when you roll with the hand.
Yeah.
Like, you always pay attention.
Yep.
And even the roll's not for you, it's for them.
It's for that. That has been the hardest part for me going in and out of competition, is because when you compete, you have to be first. Mm-hmm. You can't sit there and be received. Right.
And sometimes when you roll with our students, always like that.
Yes.
You're always on one step behind it. That's how I try to train with my students. One step behind it.
Oh no.
It's like they're like, okay, boom, they doing. Let me count that, boom, block, and then when you go for the competition, if you fight on that way, you're done.
You're done.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That was really after all my injuries healed. That was the battle, is getting back in the mindset, and it's been a good balance. I think I just really want to continue to push myself for my own purpose. However, I never want that to be at the detriment of our academy, of our students' progress, of my character. A lot of times we sacrifice our character for things, accolades that will never matter in the long run. Your character is the only thing you have to stand on, like that to me, true. People will forget. People don't even remember how you won fights, how you lost fights. They just remember like, oh, you won a fight and, oh, I know, but they'll remember was that Maya Angelou quote, like, people don't remember what you did for them, but how you made them feel.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think that's important to remember as instructors. Mm-hmm. You can teach people the best techniques, but if you're an asshole, they're not coming back.
And they're going to remember that from you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's...
How old you know, buddy?
30. I just turned 30 this year.
Me too. We get a masters.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Get a masters, man. Oh, my God. Hey, back in the day when I see these guys on Master One, I'm like, man, this guy's getting old, and I still
old
feel
guys, the
young,
old
man.
guys.
Now I'm like, the fuck, I'm not that young. I'm not that old, man.
Dude, I may be 30, but I have as many injuries, right, as a 60-year-old, I feel.
I feel that too.
And once again,
The age number is different than the body number.
oh, 100%.
Do,
I'm
do you
60.
have do you have arthritis?
Not yet.
Arthritis? No.
Not yet. But it's coming. It's coming. I try
Two
to,
ACL. I have two ACL on my right knee and the one on my left. I went to the doctor like, I think your knee is 60 years old. Just don't be on your knees.
yeah.
And yeah, just don't be on your knees.
Yeah,
like
just don't
I
be
do
on
this
your
for a
knees.
living.
Yeah.
How
Well,
I
just
do
let
this
you know I do
every
this for a living.
And that's the big part too, is like, as much as I love competing, I want to be on the mats. Nothing is worse than not being. I'd rather be on the mats rolling with my students, rolling and being able to enjoy the company of our gym than being a solo competitor. And sometimes pushing yourself to that, that boundary, you'll create injuries because you're pushing so hard.
Yeah.
So what's more important? That's where I've gave up rounds in jiu-jitsu just because I'm like, I don't like this position. I'm gonna give it up. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, you can have that.
But on your spot 5 years ago, you fight through and maybe you get hurt.
You get hurt, right? And that's the difference in my
Yeah.
mind now is practice is practice. Back in the blue belt days, I
And you don't have to prove anything to anybody.
yeah.
Like I feel that like if I'm uncomfortable, I can lose.
Yeah.
Yeah, you talk about this on grips too. No, the guy said like,
The
"Yeah, man,
grip, yeah.
sometimes I lost my grip again. I'm so mad. I'm like, you should change your grip, man. Give up this one
Give
and grab
up
over
that,
here.
switch it,
Yeah.
Then I mean,
or
you don't need to
go
broke your
with
hand.
it, You don't have to like, oh, then my pop hurt the finger or something.
That's what you said. You had a student that was a dentist, right?
He is.
Yeah.
And he's still training. James, shout out to James.
Shout out,
James, future PBJJF sponsor. He has a clinic. He's looking to sponsor the channel as well. And
Double shout out. Bro.
double shout out to Jay. If you need, I'll give him the. Hey, if you need a dentist, jamesparkins.com. So you're gonna have a good doctor. He's around the Columbia, the Baltimore area.
Nice.
Yeah, I saw you guys were doing that sponsorship, for all your streaming events. I think that's really great. Give a big avenue for other companies, other businesses to really have a platform to put their stuff.
For
Just
sure.
like you guys have.
And helping spread the word for other business. I think because with the audience, we're growing a building, and will help us to
the
grow.
Live stream on the competition is like it's like a nice thing to have. Like sometimes, like you told, like you're on the mounts, 2 hours drive. Sometimes you're coming down here. A grandpa can't come to be on the tournament, but she's still able to watch the kids fight. You know what I mean?
And
That's
and another thing about the watch, like we learn we learn a lot to improve when we fight because we make a lot of mistakes. Like and then once you have that footage, you can improve.
You can watch it, right?
But not all the time. You have someone to record that footage for you.
Right.
So in our tournaments stayed uploaded on YouTube. So
Go back
people
then,
can
check
go
it
back.
out.
Of course, internet connection might be on and off. Like things happen, right? But it's still free. Like maybe more different revenue stream you can create. You can have even better.
And I like that as a coach because, like, say you go to, a tournament, you have several students. You can't be at every, mat. And maybe a student has a match and, comes back and is like, hey, this happened. And like, if you weren't there, you didn't see it. But now it's on YouTube.
Yeah.
We can go back to the gym. Okay, let's look. Where'd you mess up? Oh, you got to address this grip. You were trying to pass before you, address the grips, or you have to, angle this. You make all the adjustments needed, but you can't do that if you don't have film.
Yes. Yeah. And once you have, if you have someone tech in your school, I have a student, Matt. He's always here, Matt. Yeah. Matt White. He told me he created for a Gogi student. He was able to go on YouTube.
Okay.
Like from YouTube, like you can get the first part and create a link, so then you can link those matches and send out to your students. You know, if you have someone that can go through the system, find the matches, and then send out to the whole team so they can watch their own matches.
That's cool.
Like, it's pretty interesting, but you gotta be. I think you gotta have a little bit more technology. I'm not that guy, but he was telling me about that. It's pretty interesting. One he does, maybe I get him to share with everybody, all the schools, so they can also do that for their students. And bam, but what a great conversation. We really appreciate you coming today. I think we still have a lot to talk.
Oh, yeah.
This is the first of many times, many.
Like we told.
Hey,
do you
appreciate
next season we're gonna do another
Another.
a different one,
and you create a
Yes.
collection.
and you need to get the collection. That means
And-
you should to come back every season.
I'm definitely a coffee fanatic, so I'll be enjoying a nice.
Yeah.
What is your coffee? What is your style?
Like espresso.
Espresso. I'm that too.
What
Yeah.
you only double espresso?
Double, double.
Yes.
Come on.
So
I need
we-
double.
we,
Sometimes triple.
I didn't get into espresso until I traveled with my wife internationally, and over in Europe, it's not drip coffee, it's espresso.
Mm-hmm.
And man, we went to Greece for our honeymoon. There's still days every time I have a sip of espresso, I'm like,
And you
I'm
have-
back there.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
But yeah, definitely. And I really appreciate the platform you guys are creating for the community. I appreciate everything you're doing for the Jiu Jitsu community in the DMV, and just allowing me to come on, share my story, and also share the story of our gym and what we're trying to do in Frostburg, Maryland. And once again, just a quick shout out, Roma Academy. We're in Frostburg, Maryland, right off the highway. Feel free to always come down. We have open mat on Saturday at right before our gi class. We have classes throughout the week. Feel free to DM us, message us, and we're always open to other gyms. But thank you, JP. Thank you, Max.
Thank you for coming, Brent. We appreciate it, man. Like coming. I think people really like this time as well. It's a good time, like
I
9
think
p.m.
so too.
Yeah,
People are chilling at home. Like a lot of people are watching.
yeah, it was nice.
And
I like the
thank
late
you,
night too.
thank you for coming. Really appreciate those great stories, like a great conversation. And I think we still have so many things to talk about. Like, okay, we would be here for more.
Yeah,
We
absolutely,
could, but I don't want. We don't want to hold you that much. But thank you for coming. Thank you for the what are you doing with jiu-jitsu in your community as well. Like we need, we believe that we can change the world by changing our community, and you're doing that with jiu-jitsu. We're trying to do it here, and with PBJJF, we can't go anywhere without your support. All the professors, all these schools, like we're trying to be creating the platform so we can all grow.
Yeah.
We can all move forward in a better direction.
Progress.
We're just we're the bridge. We try to be the bridge for it. So
Well, I'm really thankful that we can, we've kind of been here and watching and observing it from the beginning. And, I just wish you guys much success in the future and enjoy being a part of it.
appreciate it.
Yeah,
Man.
thank you guys.
Thank you.
And the last shout out for the sponsors, Brave Kimonos. Guys, don't forget to go to bravekimonos.com and use PBJJF discount code, and you're going to receive your product maybe in the next couple days. And shout out to Roll Live. Roll Live is the media that's helping PBJJF to show the DMV work in the world to the world. And also Roll Live will be is creating a platform where we'll start to get instructional content and videos with all the black belts professors, and you're more than very welcome to join the platform. It will be great to I think have you on board with the platform and show your jiu-jitsu, like things that you learn throughout
Your kimuras.
your kimuras. And look at the shirt, guys.
It's a nice one.
We're talking about his best positions, right? You told your kimuras are your go-to.
Yep.
And he's wearing. I was like, who's that?
The young
Kimura.
Madashiko Kimura. Yeah.
Let's go have a
Legendary.
friend. I have a
Legendary.
friend, Mau Mau, from Boston, Massachusetts.
Okay.
He's crazy on kimuras too. From everywhere.
Everywhere.
Everywhere, man.
They're
It's-
timeless.
And like,
Timeless.
Kimura. Every place he be, he can connect Kimuras. That's crazy.
That's pretty cool. And yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us. Make sure you share this content. If you didn't subscribe yet, go there and click the button subscribe. Click the bell button. And man, if you're not competing at PBJJF yet, you're missing out. If you wanna be if you wanna compete at the best events, come to PBJJF. And also you get the chance to meet us three there.
Yeah,
Looking
we
forward.
have tournaments this weekend. Okay, Saturday DC and Sunday Pittsburgh. We still the registration is still open. Go
Still
there.
open.
check it out,
Registration's
sign
open
up.
till Wednesday, 10:59 p.m. something like
Thursday,
that.
no?
Thursday, I'm sorry, Thursday and Friday. Thursday for DC and Friday
Friday
for.
for,
And
Pittsburgh.
don't wait. Don't wait.
I
If you're
tell this
doing
to my students all the time, man. They like, I plan to fight this tournament, blah blah blah, but I don't see nobody that
Sign
brag.
up.
I'm like, sign up and people will see you, and they will go put the name too. And also like, sign up now and you go get way more time to
Right.
prepare
That's
for that
right.
fight, to think about that.
Yep.
Because sometimes you're like, I wait and sign up on a week. Man, it's different than you do this 1 month before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's
Way
what you
different.
guys were talking about the episode with Vicente. You know, just sign up because
Sign
other
up.
people may want to beat you.
Because
They may want to cut. You
that's
know,
They're
right.
like, nah, Brian, sign up. I go there, try get this guy.
That's true.
I
Sign
like
up.
that.
Yeah.
I like that. I need that. Yeah.
When you sign up, your heart's already
Yeah, I'm like, ooh.
happening.
Porrada
That's
time.
on. It's on. And yeah, and we're also, don't forget to sign up for Pan Am's. June 24th will be the first PBJF Pan Am's, and you can be in the Hall of the Fame of PBJJF by competing early on. You know, that's the goal. And thank you guys so much. Just wanna have a great
Thank you,
episode,
Brent.
a great talking, lot of learning.
Amen. Appreciate it,
Thank you,
brother.
brother. Appreciate it. Thank you.